Good morning, monkeys. Welcome to another episode of Roller Coaster Tycoon Scenario Series here at Coaster Monkey Studios. Today's going to be a really fun one. We're going to really dig into the theming of this area around our mine train, which I'm super excited for. Again, we've been talking a lot about theming without actually using theming or scenery pieces, right? So we're theming by changing the style of building that we're utilizing. And that's what you're going to see a lot in this particular episode. As we transition from this area here into the next area we're going to create right next to it with a really fun ride that you should have seen in the thumbnail. So be excited! For those of you that don't know what's going on here, my name is Gabriel Coaster Monkey. And what we do here is we are creating essentially scenarios. We are beating scenarios in the game Roller Coaster Tycoon Classic, clearly, obviously. And what we're doing from that point on is we're then theming out the rest of the map like I would in like a custom scenario or in, you know, a larger park. But again, the whole premise behind this series is to not only teach you how to reach the goal of each scenario, but then how to have fun after the fact with what's available in that particular scenario from a thematic perspective. And that's what we're doing here. So to get into the build right now, what you've seen me do just now is I built my pirate ride, and this is just customary for something that I do. I always, whenever there's a boat ride, it's got to be on a lake or some type of water feature. And then since we're making a sandstone castle, now we'll get into that in a second, exactly what a sandstone castle is. But since we're making a sandstone castle, right, it coincides perfectly with our pirate ship boat that we put in here, right? So what is a sandstone castle? Well, if you think back to Pirates of the Caribbean and all of the castles that were in the movie Pirates of the Caribbean, and any type of castle that took place in the Caribbean, or in that type of a biome or environment, most of the castles are sandstone. And essentially what that is basically a different textile utilized to create the castle. So that's what we've done here. We've created a sandstone, or we're creating a sandstone castle. So what this is here is this is the entryway to our pirate ship. But again, we're doing this in a way that is dramatic, and it's, you know, it's just a pirate ship ride, right? But we've added so much excitement rating to it just by putting in this level of thematic drama, realistically. And we're doing it just simply with the base pieces in the game. Oh, excuse me. Sorry. Yeah, so that's what we've got there. We just threw in a nice little balloon stand. Changed the color to orange because, you know, orange is my favorite color. And yeah, we're going to get into building this station here now really quickly. And what I'm going to do is I am going to leave you guys with the music playing for a little bit. We're going to build out this station and this area over here. And I will get back to you in a bit. Talk to you soon. Now, one of the techniques that I use here, just to give you some insight, is I turn off visibility of the ride so I can see the playing field that I have that I'm working with in building the station around, or the station building around the station itself, and then being able to build up and over or around the particular ride structure itself, as well as through the queue. So this is something to keep in mind whenever you're building your coaster. Build your coaster first. You can always turn off visibility of the coaster track and supports itself to give yourself the ability to build the building around the station or whatever scenery pieces you want to put in. Now, the other thing you saw me do is you saw me make sure all of my land was level underneath my coaster where I was placing the building. And this is to make it easier for me with so many different layers going on and having to turn off the ride structure. It was easier for me to go through and just make sure the entire land is flat. So I work off of one plane of building, because anything more than that would have overcomplicated it too much, I feel. And that's why we went back and we leveled out all of our land there. I love how the coaster just takes that, sharp right bank turn right next to the building. Is a really nice head chopper moment. Now, one thing you're going to see in a sandstone castle is not so many of the grand turrets you would see in a fantasy castle, right? So what we're doing is we're doing some simple basic lower turrets here, and we do a couple of spires that come up, but nothing too crazy, because realistically, if you look at, and again, obviously we don't have the curved pieces that we need to build the right type of castle here, right? But what we are able to do is we're able to give that type of a feeling, and that's what I wanted to go after with this. And you'll see what I do here when I build out this next portion of the castle here. All right, and what we're gonna do now is we're gonna build up 4 separate turrets, but we're not going to make them high and mighty. No, they're 4 same level turrets. They're the castle's asymmetrical, which means it's not exactly the same if you were to cut it down the center, right? Very not Disney. What I wanted to feel like this castle was here before we built the coaster, right? We built the coaster into the castle, and that's the whole idea that we're going after with this particular build. And again, you can totally feel the difference in areas just by the type of building, right? When you walk from that main area where we've got all of those very vintage, quote-unquote, type feeling buildings, into this area where we've got all these sandstone structures, it creates a completely different feel and vibe. And that's what you want to go after, excluding, obviously, scenery pieces or any thematic pieces that are specific to a theme. All right, and there's our castle. Like, look how great that looks. I love the asymmetrical feel of it. So now, in trying to identify what to do next here, and I'm sure you saw it in the thumbnail, I always had a vision for this particular area, and I love how it came out for this ride. I think it's super fantastic. It's super fitting, and it's a great transition area going from that sandstone-esque area into the next area here, which then leads back into our warehouse area that we have all the way on the other side. So now, for those of you who watched my last series, you've seen how to build, a river rapids that creates excitement and really gets the customer's attention, or the guest's attention. And if you look at it, you'll see that there's never a dull moment in the rapids, right? There's always something going on. There's a drop, there's a whirlpool, there's, you know what I mean? And that's what really keeps that excitement up for your guests, and something to keep in mind as you're building out your river rapids ride. Now, what I always have liked to do is to build the river rapids into the ground. But you could build it above ground and have it drop down into the first area, or however you want to do it. But most of the time, my river rapids is built into the ground, and I build the scenery up and around it. It gives more of a realistic feel for this type of a ride. And one thing about these rides too is they always give you way too many ride vehicles. I think there's something like 26 or 28 ride vehicles on this that I had to cut down. It's too many. It's too many. Your guests wind up waiting, sitting there just spinning away. Yeah, see, there you go. So now I cut it down, and it makes more sense. And we wind up opening the ride. Look, it's got a 3.51 excitement rating, and after all this theming, it goes up to above a 5. So I'm super excited about that as well. But yeah, I will leave you guys for a bit and let the camera roll, and catch back to you in a few. Again, in keeping up with, obviously, the ability to bring in more revenue, we want to make sure, like I mentioned in the previous videos, that we've got the right amount of handymen, the right amount of maintenance guys, the right amount of security. And as these scenarios progress and get harder and harder, the need for them is going to be greater and greater. So my rule of thumb for a handyman is no more than 6 tiles. Or not a handyman, I'm sorry, maintenance worker. For a handyman, to be honest with you, 3 rides, maybe 4 rides max per handyman. In the more simple parks, you can get away with not giving them specific work areas or job rosters they need to fulfill. But in these more simple parks, you can get away with just hiring them and having them roam around free. And as for security, the same thing. And we'll get into, the amount of tiles I would utilize for security in a later episode when we really need security. Usually, when you've got broken bins or broken benches or broken lampposts, there's a reason why that's happening, why your guests are destroying your stuff. It could be because there's a lagging issue. Maybe they're getting lost or stuck. It could be because the pathways are dirty. There's not enough maintenance, and then maybe vomit or garbage on the floor. Maybe you need to put more waste bins. Maybe you need to put more maintenance guys out there. But these are usually the reasons why they'll destroy your stuff in your park. And with that being said, if you've got the right amount of maintenance and the right amount of pathing done, or the way you're doing your pathing, you won't need security for the most part. And this is just something to keep in mind. Again, if the pathways get very crowded, which happens when you get into larger parks, mega parks, where you've got 6, 7, 8,000 people in your park, and they are all rushed to one ride when you first open it, they will destroy that area. So that's why you need security. Very similar to how it is in a real park. I mean, obviously in real life, people don't destroy the park, but you need security to manage your crowds. And I guess that's the best way to describe, what this game does or needs, or how it defines that type of a scenario. All right, so getting into the build here, what we're doing is we're doing very generic theming of I guess we'll call it like a logging / water ride. Maybe it's a barrel company that, uses the water to filter their wine barrel. Who knows? It could be anything, right? But this is some type of manufacturing plant, right? That is along a river. And that's the whole idea I wanted to come across. I, build up these factory-esque type feeling buildings, but they have more of that frontier vibe to them, right? So it is factory, but it's frontier, if that makes sense. So the age of industry has already commenced, but we haven't gotten to the point of being into the more modern factories as of yet. And that's the whole idea I wanted to come across with this particular building and this build here. And then you'll see through the structure, I put in a couple water spouts. I put in stuff to really get the guests excited as they're going past. And we named this one Rapidly Wet. That is the name of this ride, Rapidly Wet. Yes, I know, it's very punny. Sorry, I won't do it again, I promise. But Rapidly Wet is the name of this ride. Yeah, that's the whole idea behind it. It's, some type of a pre-modern industry facility where things have gone wrong. And you're on the ride trying to escape it. And then we named this the Black Pearl and Blackbeard's Escape, which is pretty cool as well. I love the way the rapids look. They look awesome. Awesome! But yeah, again, and just by simply changing the building style and the ground around that building style, you completely change the entire feel of the area. And that's the best way I can explain to you how to create a theme without actually theming. Now again, this type of a park, maybe it's still a family park, right? Maybe it's like Silver Dollar City or like a Dollywood. You know what I mean? That, is in transition. They just got bought by this big corporation. They're just starting to theme things out, right? I think of Silver Dollar City. I mean, Silver Dollar City is literally an entire theme park that's in Frontierland. You know what I mean? It's an entire Frontierland theme park. You know what I mean? And with that being said, you've got theming very specific to that genre, but it's mostly buildings. And before the company that bought Silver Dollar City bought it, it was a family-owned park. You know what I mean? And that's the whole idea around this. This particular scenario, anyway. I love how I build out this water tower too. I think, again, you use what you have, right? So I wanted building out this water tower, super fun, different. And then we've got the water spouts going through different areas. Now, if we had triggered events, it'd be really cool if they would explode as the boat passes by, but you get what you pay for. And we paid for RCT Classic, $4.99 on iTunes. And again, with the theming around here, there's a good transition building here where we walk underneath the coaster into the pirate-esque or sandstone castle themed area. And then you walk into this area where it's frontier industrial, into the wrap it around past the next area, which we're going to do, I believe, in the next video, if I am correct on that one. So at this time now, since all this is pre-recorded, I'm recording this on Friday, and this isn't going to post until Tuesday. This will be Tuesday's video, but you guys get the idea. So on Thursday next week, we'll have... so by the time this video posts, Thursday will be the video where we do the next area, and then start working on the back area where we've got some fun ideas there for some coasters, multiple coasters, and a kiddie area, which is going to be super fun. Definitely check out Coaster Workbench on YouTube. He does some really great coasters as well. One of the guys that I'm affiliate or associated with on Discord. He's got a really cool YouTube channel with some fun stuff on there, so definitely check that out. But back to the build here. So we're just coming in now. We're getting the rest of our landscaping done in that area. And here I'm just trying to look at the overall park and kind of what does it look like all the way around? What landscape is needed? What are the minor details? Remember, the proof is in the pudding when it comes to detailing, right? You're going to really elevate the look of your park by making sure every minor detail is in. So you may finish something, but go back to it and look at it again. You may see something that you did that you don't like, or you may see something that needs more, like I did just in this portion of the video here. And again, my builds are all about in-game assets, right? That's what we're building with. We're building with in-game assets. We're not making anything crazy. We're not utilizing coaster tracks for roofs, even though that is one of the coolest things I've ever seen. It really is about the in-game assets. I want to be, I want to be clear about it. That's what I want to do here, right? And that's what this channel is about. Utilizing the in-game assets to create really great thematic experiences. All right, so I love what we did here with this area. It's super fun. Love that we've got this water ride, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Coaster Monkeys Hughes on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. We're on Reddit. We're on Patreon. Find us, Coaster Monkey Studios. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Subscribe here for more, and catch you guys in the next video. Ciao.